Hi, beautiful friends. I want to jump right in by saying those emotions that you were trained to suppress and hide contain encrypted codes just waiting to be read by you. The tricky part is you have to sit with them to decode them and then to alchemize them. They're not meant to sit and stay in your body, in your energetic field. They're meant to move through. They are energy in motion. But when you don't sit with them, they can't move through and they do become stuck. And the result is you tend to feel stuck. And so let's talk about that. Alchemizing these emotions is truly a key component of spiritual hygiene, meaning it is something that we should be doing daily, if not multiple times a day. If you have an awareness that there is sadness, for example, in your body, that you would sit with it and do the work I'm about to describe. And then when you are done, if sadness revisits, it's time to do it again, even if that happens an hour later or later in the day. This is something that, as needed, you repeat and repeat and repeat. It might sound like a lot if you're used to holding in your emotions, but it really doesn't take a lot of time. All that's required are a few simple steps. The first step is simply to notice that you're feeling something. It is an awareness in the moment, and that's maybe the hardest part, because if we are trained to suppress our emotions, you might not even notice the signal in your body when it shows up. So you might not know you were sad or angry or holding anxiety at all until it's built up over time and then screaming at you in a much louder way. So becoming aware of the presence of these emotions as they show up in the moment is key. Once you are aware, wow, right now I'm feeling something, feeling some kind of way, the second step is to figure out if it's an emergency. Meaning, is this sensation in my body indicating that I am not safe and I need to take action immediately? If so, skip the rest of the steps and take action. I don't want to override your nervous system's primary job, which is to keep you safe in the moment. If you are being chased by a bear and you feel the fear, please run. Don't stop and do this other stuff yet, right? But 9 times out of 10, if not more than that, it's not an emergency. And that's a great sign, because it means that you can remind your body, it's not an emergency, I am safe, and I am going to take some time then to pause and turn toward this and sit with it. You have to reassure yourself that it's okay to do that, because your body's going to be screaming at you that it is an emergency. And so it takes some intention to really settle that sensation down enough to move to the next step, which is simply to sit with it. So it means carving out a quiet place. It means turning your attention inward. It means settling in any way that feels right to you. You can use music, you can light a candle, you can take a bath, you can go for a walk, you can lay in bed. Really, it's so personal what works best for you. You can, if you're in your car, you can just pull over, take some deep breaths and settle in. And just pay attention to the sensations in your body. Just notice what's there, whatever it is. It can be really simple things like, I notice a fluttering in my heart. I notice that my palms are sweating. Or I notice that there are tears brimming in my eyes. Whatever it is sensation-wise. But try not to attach meaning to what you're sensing yet. Keep it in the realm of the senses for now. Our minds will often want to take over and start to tell us a story about why it is we feel this way, and it'll kind of like lead us out of the sensation into the jurisdiction of thinking and solving and all of that, and we're not ready for that yet. We're just sitting with the sensations for now, because most likely we're in some sort of fight or flight oriented state, some sort of heightened emotional state. That's why we noticed that we were feeling some kind of way. And until that passes, our main job is simply to sit with it and to offer the support that we notice that our body needs in order to do that. So it might be placing our hands somewhere. It might be tapping if that's something that you find helpful. It might be just simply making contact with yourself in some way. We'll do all kinds of things like that, right? So let yourself do that while you're sitting in sensation. That's a really important step a feeling into this moment so that you can let it be witnessed by you. You can let it receive your attunement. And that is what's going to allow it to lift much quicker than it would have if you ignored it. You'll notice that this is similar to if you were trying to calm down an upset child. It might take them a while, but eventually they sort of soften in your arms, right? With your help. This is what your body will do. As you sit with it, you will start to notice sensations that are signaling softening in the body, a return to baseline. When that starts to show up, you're wrapping up this part. You're ready to move toward the next step. So honor this step, and then you can move to the next layer. The next layer is, if it feels necessary, and it might not, to invite the mind into the process. Because now you're no longer in fight or flight, so you can access your wisdom now, where before you wouldn't have been able to. It would have felt difficult to access that really wise part of your brain that is really great at problem solving and thinking clearly and seeing multiple perspectives. You really can't access that well when you're in fight or flight, and it's better saved for this step. So now, if you feel ready, you can invite your mind in, and you can ask it to help you sift through the experience that you just had. That might involve naming the emotion. Your mind will suggest, that was anxiety, that was sadness, that felt like anger. And if that kind of a label feels helpful, go ahead and let your mind label it. Sometimes that feels really empowering, especially because a lot of people never learn to label their emotions. So if this feels like a really important step, definitely add it in. If it feels shaming in some way, it's not necessary to name it. The next step is to ask yourself if this experience that you're having in your body is trying to tell you that you need to take action in some way. This step may or may not be necessary. It very much depends on the scenario. It could be that when you reflect on it, you say, you know what? I just needed to feel that. I just needed to witness and attune to the fact that these sensations have been floating around in my body. I don't really have a whole lot that I need to do about it. Or if there is something I need to do about it, I'm not sure what that is yet, and I'd like to sit with that a while longer and not necessarily dig into that now. It's okay. There's no hard and fast rules, but if you reach this step and you notice, no, there is something I'm going to need to do. My intuition and my knowing is telling me, for example, I need to set a boundary, or I need to have that hard conversation, something like this, then that is really important because it brings you into fuller alignment with who you are. And what I mean by that is, if an action step arises and it's telling you to take action in your world, in your life, it's essentially a course correction. It's allowing you to recognize that you've been out of alignment in some way and that it's time to get back into alignment by taking this action. When we take action that brings us into further alignment with ourselves, we are now reaching a whole new layer of power within ourselves because we're taking control of a life that would have started to continue to go in a direction that is not for us, now with intention into a direction that is more honoring of who it is that we are and what it is we want to be doing. When we don't do a process like this, when our spiritual hygiene is lacking because we were never taught or whatnot, what happens is that we push our feelings aside. We don't get to decode the messages that are inside of them, and therefore we don't recognize when we're out of alignment, and therefore we continue down a track that leads further and further away from a life that we want, from a life that we choose actively. It's like we get into a default mode. All of that ends up feeling really awful in the long run. And the truth of the matter is, anyone who's over 35 or so, maybe even younger, will tell you there's only so long you can continue to go down that road before you reach a brick wall. And you have some sort of realization that your foundation is not solid and something needs to come down. Whatever that means given the situation. But essentially, we cannot continue to live out of alignment. And we cannot access our true and full power if we're out of alignment. There are so many ways that we short circuit our lives, our relationships, our calling, our soul's mission when we continue to live in default mode out of alignment. And so my question for you today is, how is your spiritual hygiene when it comes to your emotions? How is it that you practice listening? Do you allow yourself to hear what it is that your body's been trying to teach you? For a lot of people, the answer is no, simply because they weren't taught. And not only that, but so many of us were taught to do the opposite. Just push it aside, put a smile on your face, sweep it under the rug, and take actions that make other people happy and comfortable. If you're watching this, I think you know that that simply cannot continue. I hope that this is helpful. And I hope that it encourages you and helps you to feel empowered to really take steps forward to taking better care of this aspect of your life and your experience so that you can make it everything that it was meant to be. I'll be back soon. Take good care.